Welcome to our Metaverse. Thank you for being here together. Our Metaverse is a group that's trying to come together to create community around loving kindness and meditation. Can't be a group without you. Super thank your participation and your wanting to be here and watching. For those who aren't here now and watching online, thank you for coming to us. I'd like to start with some gratitude today. I'd like to thank you for trying to become more mindful and more aware. There's a lot of definitions for that. There's a lot of different, like, who did it come from and what's the real definition? And I think what feels nice behind mindfulness and awareness, no matter which definition we choose to make our operating definition, is it's out of goodness and trying to have some say over what we choose to do, what we choose to think, what we choose to say. Mm-hmm. So thank you. Thank you for being here for that. Thank you for stopping your busyness to be here. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to get caught up on, I just have to go do this thing right now. And to stop that is a very powerful exercise. Mm-hmm. If we can do that now here, to stop our body enough to stop for this, it's a step that will cooperate with us in stopping our mind when it gets out of control too. So thank you for stopping your busyness to be here today. Thank you for trying to leave a legacy better than you inherited. Mm. Right? I wasn't born into this. I don't think so far as my knowledge of us is that we were born into this. And I believe that we are all trying to leave something behind a little better than what we received. And I appreciate that. And I'm grateful for you for that. And thank you for being gentle with yourself and gentle with others. Thank you. Thank you. Our intention tonight is to understand a little bit new perspectives or some perspectives and share with each other our ideas of breath and understand the power of our breath. I wanted to set my intention for tonight, which is to understand the breath from a little bit of a different angle or with some different perspective, with the motivation of us hopefully being able to use it as a tool to help us create some space and to have more tools to get through our day with. Mm-hmm. And so that we can learn how to use it to be more gentle with ourselves and with others. So I'm going to invite us now actually to just take 1 minute, and you can do it with your eyes open or closed, but just get yourself into a nice place and think about what is your intention for being here right now and motivation. So here's what I would like to do in this time, and here's why I would like to do it in this time. And we'll take 1 minute for that. Whenever you're ready, And kind of open our eyes and come together, and maybe even place a little of our awareness on what that 1 minute just did for us. Just stopping and going, here's what I want to do and why I want to do it right now, and how that made our body feel. So I heard something recently that said the best way to drop out of thought is to take a conscious breath. And it's by Eckart Tolle. The best way to drop out of thought is to take a conscious breath. I would like to ask your input on if you've been encouraged in your lifetime or with friends or somewhere to just not think. Right? You want to elaborate a little?
There is, I mean, in most secular Western traditions, or even in religious Western traditions, it's productivity and activity are encouraged, almost mandated, and even relaxing is not necessarily. Even relaxing doesn't necessarily mean quieting your mind. Feels like Western society encourages our mind to just stay active, consuming media, driving somewhere, buying things.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Kevin. Really good, because I was just going to say that's kind of what I was thinking to say, was that when you asked if someone had ever asked you to stop thinking, and for me as a child, or as a young adult, I always fear like when your parents say, well, God, what the hell were you thinking? Like you were not thinking. And so that is a bad thing, to not think, right? To not think is usually considered a bad thing. What we're trying to not think because it's a good thing. So it's hard to change over those things, because we would probably even say it to our kids sometimes, you just weren't thinking, and so it's always important to be thinking, right? And it's always important to be over consuming, even if it's yucky stuff like Kevin was talking about. We're over consumers, and our society breeds that within us, right? Like consume, never rest, work yourself to the bone, the daily grind, blah blah. I mean, that's supposed to be a heroic act, right? That you're just grinding away, doing all this stuff, and never take time for yourself, because that's ridiculous, So this is a concept that is kind of foreign to a lot of Westerners, right? Like, it's starting to become more acceptable, but this is like an Eastern philosophy, right? And they all know that in the East, right? That's part of growth and expansion and all these different things. And in the West, we're just way behind in that area, and I actually don't even know if it's behind. I actually think it might not even be accidental. I think they don't want people to be aware that they have this power, this consciousness, that they don't understand their own consciousness, right? And so if we were to understand that, we would have so much more power over our decisions and what we do on a daily basis, right? So I really think there's so much, meaning in what Kevin just said about, like, there's always something to do. They want, I don't need to say they, but whoever the powers that are controlling us are very much wanting us.
Maybe we can say a capitalist society.
Sure. Okay, that sounds good. A capitalist society would promote us never really finding our true power. I feel like that's true. You know what I mean? And so they know that in the stillness, or whoever it is, I think there's a lot of power there. And when people realize that how powerful their own consciousness is, they don't want that. They want you to think that they're not that powerful, or don't want you to know how powerful you really are.
It may not be advantageous to profit for some.
Yes.
If we were more aware of why are we going for something?
Why are we buying all this crap? Yeah, all that stuff, right?
I appreciate your sensitivity to the word they, right?
Yeah.
Because, and I'm going to bring that up and pay attention to that for just a minute. They, in in meditation classes and awareness classes, we've been asked to be aware of the undefined they, right? Because it, in fact, is another thought. It's not the non-thinking. It is a thought. As I like to use as a reference, it's one of the thoughts that if we stop at that train station and don't realize it and get off of our path, our intention, our motivation, we hop on the train at we can go down a whole road, and then they want us to do this and they want us to do that and they want us to do that. And we can follow a thought process into an area that didn't really exist in the first place. And so that you bring that up with sensitivity shows you're already aware that imagining in this undefined they, there was a little something in that wasn't comfortable. And what you were saying was incredibly valuable still, right? We get on this thinking wheel like a rat that's running in the same circle. We think on it so distractedly from all this information from our society. And when we don't choose to stop, we don't waken up our conscious awareness. And then when we do that, we get stuck. All of us get stuck in, I need to go buy this thing. I need to go eat this thing. I need to consume something, whatever it is. We get right on that train and there we go, which is why we practice, right? So, and I'm going to come back again and really offer more gratitude to, can you see how powerful it is to stop? Like, I'm so grateful for you guys going, I feel it. I don't know how to exactly define it, but I feel it. And there feels like there is the potential of something different in stopping. I'm going to try stopping. Maybe I can't define what it is yet. I don't know, but I'm going to try it. Because that feels like maybe there's a potential for something that could be more beneficial for everybody, for ourselves and for the people we interact with. So I love you guys' input in this. Why would we want to stop thought? So I think that we can be sensitive with ourselves. And I think it is a consensus that we have been encouraged to think all the time. We have been encouraged to stay busy. We've been encouraged to analyze. We've been encouraged to contemplate with other people and thinking and doing. And now we're starting to get this new tool of contemplating in our own inner being now, and creating space in our own inner being. So one of the things that I understand is that, well, as I was meditating on this a bit and thinking, when we stop, we create space, right? And Viktor Frankl, and in between, what is it? In between thought and action, there is a space, and in that space is control. Something like that is not his sentence, something like that. In that space is power. In that space is our opportunity to choose, a choice. So when we take that space, for me, there was an initial, if I'm feeling overwhelmed and then I stop and I make space, there's the potential I'm going to feel more overwhelmed because now I have so much space.
Fill it up.
So it's how and why would we create space? And then we decide, is this space for more overwhelm or is this space for something else? So thought is not where our natural state resides. Our natural state, to me, the visual is like a molecule floating through the air, connected to everything and experiencing everything as it passes by the tree and the river and the cement truck and the building and the sunshine and the something else. We are part of this entire universe here in human form right now, passing through. And as long as we can keep that movement going, then we don't find ourselves constrained. We don't find ourselves not moving. We don't find ourselves tightening, not, and then stuck. So for me, when I want to create space, it's not for more overwhelm, but it's for movement. Allow the overwhelm some room so it can flow. So breathing is closer to that natural state of being, and consciously breathing is much closer to that pure being that we were brought into the world as. So what's the difference between just breathing and consciously breathing? Did sometime today, what's our percentage, do you think, as a guess, that you have breathed today without being conscious of it?
Oh, all day.
99.873%.
Right?
Mhm.
Right? Huge part. Maybe we stopped and went, oh, I just want a breath right now. But the majority of what we're doing with regards to breath is done unconsciously. So what changes when we put consciousness into our breath? I'm hoping that this is going to get communicated in the way that I feel it. So for me, I'm very attached to my thoughts, right? They're here and they linger, and it's very hard to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow I feel like, and it's backward, but somehow I feel like I have control if I have thoughts, right? And so my way of letting go of thoughts is step by step. And the first way is, I imagine this, I'm going to put it rectangle like this over my head. Maybe it's fish tank sized, home fish tank sized, or it's a space where inside of that space, there are no thoughts. But because I'm so attached to my thoughts, they are just right outside. They're not too far away. Until I can really get comfortable with allowing the space of non-thought, I can create a small space of non-thought. And that feels safe to me. Right? So conscious, we usually apply to thinking.
Mhm.
So what now if we're turning off all thoughts and we're focusing on one thing, our breath in this instance? The intention is not to allow the flood of thoughts to be there.
Mm-hmm.
How do we shut off that flood? Well, one of the tools is to focus on one thing instead of these many things. And to focus on, okay, I'm going to come back to the space. First, I'm going to come back to this space because I was talking with Kevin and he says, I want you to elaborate on that a little bit.
Mhm.
So my thoughts, for the majority part of my life, I felt my thoughts were me. That's how I became an identified something. My ego is built on my thoughts. My familiarity with who I am is built on my thoughts. What would happen if I let go of who I am and just tried to be?
Mhm.
What would that do? Would it create a little bit of anxiety? Go ahead, Auntie. Did you raise your hand?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's okay for me to
Yeah.
chime in, or if this is
Sure.
okay. Oh, I was just saying, like, for me, the way I separate it as thoughts are, there's many things thoughts can be. They can be controlling, they can be negative, they can be limiting, they can be all of these things, right? And so those are all things that kind of keep us down, and they're not our soul. So when we are not in that thought, when we let go of all of those things that are controlling us, our thoughts are very controlling. Overthinking is a very, detrimental thing for a lot of people. Then when we hit that silence, which is very uncomfortable for a lot of people, I feel like that's kind of like, instead of your mind, it's your soul that you're actually attaching to, that you're actually being able to communicate with in that stillness. Everything else is just your mind that has all these, I want to say, almost defects, you know what I mean, that are controlling, limiting, um, causing grief, and all these, because there's a lot of things that it does. It's all, some of it's protection, like we've talked about before, but sometimes it goes over that and you can't stop it. So being able to get to that place of not thinking is actually a more peaceful, free place where you can communicate with your soul, right? So that's kind of what we're trying to get to. We want to get to that place and let ourselves know that regardless of what society has taught us, that it's not okay not to think. It is okay not to think. I think that's where a lot of our power does lie. Our intrinsic power, that power that's really in ourselves, that's really true. So that's all. I just want to say that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
So if we let ourselves not think, for me, that visual, now I'm more part of the universe, right? Now I'm not just this conversation amongst myself here. I'm more of an observer. I'm more of a part. So one of the things that is known is that our mind has a negativity bias.
Mhm.
And so if we can calm the mind, we can calm the negativity. And that's what you're talking about, tapping into soul, or tapping into more of our pure being. So the difference between breathing and conscious breathing is that we intentionally pay attention to our breath. Okay. So I'm not going to ask you to practice unconsciously breathing, because we've already been doing that this whole time. we already do. We did it this whole time we've been speaking. But I am going to ask us now, we're going to go through 3 different exercises on breathing. Okay. One, we're going to consciously breathe a breath. Maybe we're going to consciously breathe 3 breaths. Now, what does that mean to consciously breathe it? It means to give it attention. And I'm going to encourage you to give the beginning of your breath an attention, and pay real close attention to the middle of it, and pay really close attention to the end of it. And I want you to take those 3 steps on an inhale, and those 3 steps again on an exhale. Okay, beginning, middle, and end of an inhale and an exhale. And we'll do that 3 times. Okay. All right. So when you're ready, here we go. When you're finished, is there anything that you noticed while you were consciously breathing 3 breaths?
Oh, I
Just-
noticed, well, oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Just how hard it is to turn off your mind. Yeah. Really, really hard to turn off my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Even when there's something to help turn it off, like focusing on the breath.
Yeah. How about you, Marie? What did you notice?
Oh, I just noticed that I constantly made an effort to breathe through my nose, and that I also took in a lot more oxygen in and out than I would normally. You know what I mean? I really was breathing deep, like I would made it extra large, and I don't know why I did that. I just did. It just felt like the right thing to do, because I was like, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of oxygen here. But when you're just doing that unconscious breathing, like the subconscious is just controlling that, you're just not paying attention to it. And they're usually, I think, more shallow breaths, so I like that when I'm paying attention, I'm taking this really deep breath, just kind of, I don't know, I just for some reason felt like I could do that, because also you asked us to do it in 3 parts, and so it was like taking one breath and then another and then another, and it felt like I needed to get more in there, right? And then I stopped and kind of held for a minute, and it kind of feels good, like there's a lot of oxygen in there, and then letting it out in a 3-part is kind of neat, because it's kind of tiered, and you're kind of controlling it, so it's kind of cool. To do that. I feel like you're getting a lot more oxygen. I felt like I was,
Right. So I want to offer that style of breathing in conscious breath is a practice. Just because we say, let's be conscious of our breath, doesn't mean all of a sudden we can pay attention to the beginning, middle, and end of a breath. Especially a beginning, middle, and end of an inhale, and the beginning, middle, and end of an exhale. Right? Why not? Because our habitual mind is so fast and so accustomed to not stopping that it challenges that space for us. So it's a practice. That part's a practice. Okay?
Mhm.
Be gentle. Be gentle. We're just considering these thoughts today for the first time, maybe. Okay? Did you notice the speed of your thoughts while you were trying to pay attention to your breath?
Mm-hmm.
They were slowing down. Yeah, they were still there, but they were slowing down.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. That's
There
good.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's a tool at this point to slow down my thoughts
Mhm.
until it becomes something that's a little bit more of a norm
Mhm.
where I can turn them off.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So now I'm going to ask you, or we'll do this together, where we'll pick a place in our body specifically. And we'll do those 3 breaths again. So we're still on just the conscious breath idea.
Mhm.
And I want you to pick a place in your body that's maybe your nostrils, where you can feel the actual breath. Right? Maybe it's your nostrils. Maybe it's your chest. Sometimes I really love to just pay attention to my lungs getting bigger and smaller and feeling this air inside of me. Maybe it's your tummy or your gut area
Mhm.
that moves when we breathe. Okay. We'll do 3 more breaths that way, paying close attention to the place in our body where we feel our breath, and then the beginning, middle, and end. Okay. So we'll do 3 again. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How was that? you have any comment on how that experience felt? You're trying to focus on location and beginning, middle, and end.
It's really difficult, yeah.
I thought so. It was a little harder too. Well, I was going straight for my my tummy or my solar plexus, the area that like your diaphragm kind of thing. And so I noticed I was kind of skipping through the 3 part. I was just like, because I was skipping that part because I was like, wait a minute, I'm not even doing the 3 part thing. I'm just going straight for the belly. So I just was inhaling,
It is super hard to pay attention to 2 things at one time.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. It's super hard to pay conscious, effortful attention to 2 things at one time.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess that's why multitasking is ineffective, right?
Well, we did both half probably. That's how I felt, right? God, like, am I on my tummy or am I in the middle of the breath? Is it my tummy or am I, wait a minute, was it my tummy that I was focusing on in the first place? Right? So we're going to do ourselves a favor by picking one, and trying to stay beginning, middle, and end, just of the breath, beginning, middle, and end. But let's say we don't want to do beginning, middle, event, and end. We can do just a place in our body. My chest is going up, my chest is going down, my chest is going up, my chest is going down. These are great exercises instead of counting sheep at nighttime. Just get really into focusing on the breath. Simplifies, slows down the thinking, does whatever. Okay. We're gonna do so our effect of that. How does your body feel after that? Does it feel more tense? Does it feel more relaxed?
Typically, for me, after doing a fair amount of conscious breathing, I do feel more relaxed, but this wasn't quite a long enough session.
Yeah.
3 breaths doesn't quite achieve that effect.
Yeah, right. And how good to know. So that's self-awareness to say, when I really want this to affect my body, I'm going to need 12 breaths. I'm going to need, like, you can now play with it as you're exercising to say, okay, what's my best thing at this point?
Right.
And we measure it as we practice. Can we get down to 6 breaths? Maybe, who knows? All right. Now we're going to do 9 round breathing. We've done it before. We're going to do it again. This is straight spine. Okay. Do you have enough time right now? You have about 10 minutes left?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have about 10 minutes left?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So we'll do 9 round breathing now. We're going to do the full 9 breaths. You can do this in 3 also. You can just do 1 set and you're done. So one of these is that you cover up one nostril and you breathe in through the opposite nostril and you breathe out through the other. 1, and then we do it again. In through that one. Out through the other one. In through that one. Out through the other one. That was 3, right? Now you're going to inhale through the other one, the left one at this point. I'm going to exhale out the opposite one now. And when you're done, you just breathe in and out of both. One. 2. 3. That's 1 set of 9 round breathing. So it was 3, 3, and 3. And you do that 3 times. So we're going to do it again. Okay. So we're going to clog one nostril. I'm going to clog my left one and breathe in through my right. Clog my right, breathe out through my left. Into the right. Out through the left. Try to keep your spine straight, in through the right, out through the left. Take your time. Then in through the left, out through the right, in through the left, out through the right. Was that 3 or 2?
That was 3.
And then in through both. And out through both. Be aware of how your rest of your body is feeling as you do this. And one more round. Ready? That was a full 9 rounds.
Oh. Mm.
Can you notice? Can you notice anything after
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, that was very relaxing. That almost put me to sleep, which I'm going to keep in mind for the next time.
Cool.
Did you notice anything?
Yeah, kind of same thing. I just felt with every, especially the deeper breaths, very much more relaxed and just like, and I think with that consciousness causes us to bring a little more oxygen in. And so I think that's even more relaxing, right? We're getting more of it into I love the feeling of that I'm getting more oxygen in there because when I'm not paying attention, I think my breaths are just pretty shallow,
Well, most of ours are. So that is learned from a Tibetan style of Buddhism. And that's how they begin their meditation. So you start to, you sit in stillness, but then you do things to assist that stillness, right? You're watching, like if I run out to Pete's and grab a mocha and then come back and try to sit still, well, I'm not necessarily helping myself as much as if I had something without caffeine before I chose to sit still and meditate, right? So we give ourselves these help to get ourselves to a point of stillness, and then we can do this breathing to do it even more to get ourselves to a point of stillness, and then we can start our meditation. Or as you and I both have started with, is with the Calm app. Sit, do a 9-round breathing, and then start the 10-minute daily app. Daily Calm, and see if it feels differently, even though they might walk you through a 9-round breathing in one of their exercises. But it's a good, just how do I approach this when I settle myself in to be ready to be guided? And it gives us another opportunity. So there's a third breathing that I would like to do here that was from the book Breath. Aren't you the one that told me about that book?
James Nestor.
From James Nestor, right? So they did all these experiments and studies to learn that the 5-second breath,
5.5.
5.5 is the most optimal timing for an inhale, a hold.
It's 5.5 seconds. I don't know what from what.
I think it's a box breathing. And so you imagine inhale for 5.5, hold it. You imagine the exhale on 5.5 seconds, hold it, and you come back. We'll do 5 breaths of these 5-second boxes.
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna put me in a little coma. You're gonna
I
try
know.
to put me into a little
We're
coma
gonna be
state.
out by the time this is over.
Because 5 seconds when it's a real 5 seconds is a pretty long time. Like,
It's
you know
a
what I mean?
long
Like it's
time.
the real, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of breath, and then we're holding as we go across. That's what the box is, and then
Yeah.
exhaling for 5.5, and then holding, and then okay, that's definitely gonna bring my heart rate down.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So we're going to do this box exercise, and I'm just going to invite you to try to stay as.
Cool. Like,
What did you just say?
oh, nothing. Sorry. I think I might have, did I lose you guys for a second? Okay.
Oh. So it is going to calm our bodies a little. It is going to create space. And so the challenge now is to stay aware. You can allow the relaxation, that's great. But if we meditate to the point of sleep, we encourage sloth and torpor, and they are a challenge. They are a hindrance to awareness and mindfulness.
I'm a big fan of sloth.
Are we all?
Sloth and torpor are
Right.
2 of my favorite states.
I do like that sloppy state myself, actually. It's pretty good.
So we're gonna
being relaxed is not a crime.
So we're gonna do it. This is gonna take 20 seconds times 5 right now,
Okay.
and we'll count on our own pace, right?
Okay.
I remember when it was like, if you can breathe up 9 times and back without your mind thinking, then you're really at this place. So I'd be like, awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Totally defeating the purpose. Like, let's just hurry up and get this done. Yeah. Right.
Sleep meditation.
So in awareness, and maybe now choose, right? Am I aware of the counting? Is that what I'm going to put my attention on as I'm doing this? Am I aware of the stage? Pick your awareness. Try to stay in awareness as you do the box breath.
Yeah.
I'll walk us through one at kind of my pace, and then you guys can follow up on what works for you. Okay, ready?
Okay. Yep.
We're going to inhale. 1,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you continue. Inhale. Hold. Exhale for 5. Hold. Inhale for 5. Hold. Exhale. Hold. And I'll let you guys do the last 2. How was that?
The lightheaded.
Lightheaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The muscle.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was just gonna say I got lightheaded.
Yeah. So honor yourself as you start to practice, right?
Mhm.
To say, whoa, maybe I exhaled so much on a 5-second exhale, I wasn't able to get the inhale enough to match it. So you just You can start over, but honor yourself as you feel those breaths and you do that. Okay?
Mhm.
That breath was supposed to be the one that our body can maximize its oxygen the most in. Makes the best use of things. If we're going to try to heal our body of something, that 5.5 second box breath is the one that helps us heal that the fastest. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So we're going to call that for tonight. We're going to go to the next step, which we always do, which is forgiveness, which is if anything that I spoke of tonight took you into a direction that was uncomfortable or confused you in some way, please forgive me. I ask that. If there's anything that you did tonight that felt like, well, that wasn't cool, or I said something funny, you're forgiven. I invite everybody to offer forgiveness to anybody right now. And then we'll do a dedication. And I would like to take the merit that we have just developed and created by coming together in a positive effort and dedicate it out to those who have difficulty stopping thinking every once in a while. I'd like to dedicate it to those who need assistance in just being able to take a breath. Maybe they're on a tank of some sort. Maybe somebody has to actually help them manually breathe. I'd like to dedicate it to those who are unaware that we can create space for ourselves, a healthy, wonderful space for ourselves. And as always, may all wars end, wars with others, wars with ourselves, wars with family or country or anything else. And especially, I want to add this tonight. Someone offered this in one of our classes. And to the war with what is. May we learn to love what is. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you.
Fun experience. And we'll see you next time.